Hi children, today we are going to study about the structure and functions of parts of the plants. As you know, there are hundreds and thousands of different plants in the world. How many kinds of plants can you think of? The trees, the bushes, fruit bearing trees, flowering plants, grasses, herbs, shrubs, and many more. Some are very small, some are very big, some useful, some not so useful, some strong, while some weak, some with a long life, and some which live for a very short period. Despite of these differences, all the plants have the same structure. In the picture you can see a plant body basically consists of two systems, root system and shoot system. The shoot is that the part of the plant which is above the ground. It consists of the stem which bears branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. The root system of a plant is usually present below the ground and mostly consists of a cluster of roots. So in this picture you can see the parts of the plants. These are the common parts in all the plants. Now let us now learn how plants are classified on the basis of their structure and size. On the basis of structure and size, the plants can be divided into three categories. One is herbs, shrubs, and trees. Now, first of all, let's study about the characteristics of herbs. Herbs means they are very short plants, otherwise they are very small. Their stems are thin and green. They do not have many branches. Their lifespan varies between a few months to an year. Means the plants with green and tender stems are called herbs. They are usually short and they do not have many branches. Example, you can say coriander, sunflower, mustard, wheat, paddy, tulsi, all these are herbs. Now you see shrubs. The shrubs, they are medium-sized plants. Their stems are brown, hard and thicker than the herbs. Many branches arise near the base of the plant. Example, rose, jasmine, China rose. These are the shrubs. Now, another category is they are tall plants having an average height between 40 to 60 meters. Their stems are brown, thick and very hard. The stem of trees is called a trunk. The many branches arise from upper part of the stem. So they are called trees. So some plants are very tall and have hard and thick stem. Such plants are called trees. Now some plants, if you see, the plants with the weak stems that cannot stand upright but spread on the ground are called creepers, while those that they take support and climb up are called climbers. These are different from herbs, shrubs and trees. So you must be knowing that money plant in everybody's house you have, that is a climber. Now let's talk about the two systems, the root system and the shoot system. So the first one, let's study about the root system. The roots of the plant grow inside the soil. There are two types of root system in plants. They are taproot system and fibrous root system. In this picture, you can see the taproot system. When a seed germinates, a root emerges from the seed called radicle. This is the main root. This main root is called the taproot. See, in the center you can see the thick and long, that is called the taproot. From the taproot you have the branches. These branches are called the lateral roots. The main root grows deep into the soil. Such a root system is called taproot system and is seen in plants like mango, banyan, beans and peas, etc. Now the next one is the fibrous root system. In plants like maize, a cluster of roots arise from the base of the stem. You can see in the picture the large number of the thin and fiber-like roots which arise from the base of the stem. So these roots are called the fibrous roots. They form the fibrous root system and spread out in the soil, giving support to the plants. They do not have main root, otherwise the tap root is absent here. So this type of root system you can find in plants like wheat, maize, millet, grass. All these plants, they have the fibrous root system. Now let's see what are the functions of root system. The functions of root system are: the root has the important function, that is to give, otherwise it anchor the plant, otherwise anchorage. It holds the plant in place in the soil, thus preventing it from being blown away by the strong winds. The next one is it absorbs the water and minerals from the soil, and after absorption it transports till the stem. So we can say it anchors the plant and it absorbs the water and minerals from the soil and it passes to the stem. Now the next part is the shoot system. In this plant you can see a stem with the leaves and branches. So the stem with the leaves and branches is called the shoot system. The shoot system, you can see the place a leaf arises from the stem is called the nodes. So the portion of the stem between the two nodes is called the internodes. You can see there the node is marked and the internode is also marked. So node means the point or zones on the stem where leaves are arising. Otherwise the leaf arises is called the nodes. Now the space between the two nodes is called internodes. Now what are the functions of the stem? First of all, it bears leaves, flowers and fruits. In most of the plants, the stem holds the plant upright so that it helps the leaves to capture lot of air and sunlight, so they can carry out the photosynthesis easily. Now the next one we can see, you have already know that the root absorbs water from the soil. From the root, the stem carries water from the root to all other parts of the plant. Then after preparing food, it carries food prepared by the leaves to other parts of the plant and takes water and minerals from the root to all other parts. So there are three functions we can say. First of all, it bears the leaves, flowers and fruits. The second one, it holds the plant upright and it kept the leaf in such a way that it captures sunlight. The third one, After preparing food, the food also transported from leaf to all other parts of the plant. So these are the stems. So now let's see an activity, otherwise an experiment, to know that how the stem conducts water. First of all, take a plant, a tender plant, and put that plant in the beaker containing water. Take a beaker, put water, add a few drops of red ink to the water, cut the base of the stem of the herb and put it in the glass containing red water. Observe different parts of the plant the next day. In this picture you can see the veins are like red in color because the red colored water is carried, otherwise it conducted by the stem to the leaves. So the veins of the leaves are red in color. So from that we can say the stem transports water in a plant. Now the next one is the leaf. A leaf is a flattened and generally green in color. It has a small stalk-like structure that is called the petiole, with which it is attached to the stem. The flattened part of the leaf is called the lamina. The tip of the lamina is called the apex. There is a network of the veins present on the lamina. The major vein in the center is called the midrib. Now you take a leaf and a sheet of paper, hold it in the place or otherwise on the paper, take a pencil, tip sideways and rub it on the portion of the paper having the leaf below it. So what impression you get? The impression you can see is inside the leaf there are lines. So the design made by the lines or the veins in the leaf is called the leaf venation. If the design is like a network on both the sides of the midrib, the venation is called reticulate venation. Means the veins are arranged like a net on both the sides of the midrib, then it is called the reticulate venation. If the veins are parallel to each other, the veins on the leaf, if you have noticed the grass, otherwise banana leaf, banana is the best example. Banana leaf, if you observe, the veins on the veins of the leaf are arranged on parallel to each other. So this arrangement is called the parallel venation. So there are two types of venation. One is reticulate and another one is parallel venation. The reticulate venation is the veins are in like a net. That one you can find out in a rose leaf, peepal, tulsi, mango, like that, hibiscus, rose, all these plants, they have the reticulate venation. If you see the banana leaf, grass, maize, wheat, all these plants, they have the parallel venation. So now, what are the functions of leaf? The leaves have tiny pores present on their surface called stomata. These help in exchange of gases required for respiration and photosynthesis. So what is the function of stomata? The stomata helps to take oxygen and carbon dioxide for respiration and for photosynthesis. So it helps in the process of photosynthesis. Now another function is the stomata also help in getting rid of extra water in the form of water vapor. So that is called transpiration. So the function of, otherwise the process of removing extra water in the form of water vapor is called transpiration. So this transpiration, how it takes place, we can see by doing an experiment. See here in this picture, you can see the carbon dioxide is coming and water and oxygen is released. So here it helps in the exchange of gases so that the plants prepare food, and it is helpful for breathing also. Now here in this picture you can see how the transpiration taking place in the plant. Now first of all you should take a potted plant, means the plant which has the big leaves. Now enclose the leafy branch of the plant by a polythene bag and tie up its mouth with a string. Let the pot remain under the sun for some time. Observe the inner surface of the bag after some hours. You can see the water droplets inside the polythene bag. So from where these water droplets came? So from the plant, the leaves evaporate out, otherwise they remove extra water from the plant through the leaves, otherwise through the stomata. So from this we can say that the plants give off water in the form of water vapor in the process of transpiration. So you have studied three functions of leaf. One is exchange of gases, another one is transpiration. So this exchange of gas is used for the process of photosynthesis and for the respiration. The next one is the structure of the flower. So if you see a flower, you can see a green color part, sepal, the colorful part, that is the petal, and then inside there is a long carpel, and then there is stamen. So there are four parts. One is sepal, another one is petal, then stamen and pistil. So if you see petal, the outer parts of the flower that have leaf-like structure is called sepal. So these sepals form the outer wall that encloses the petals and is known as calyx. See, different 4 or 5 sepals will be there. So all together we can say it is a calyx. Now what is the function of this calyx? It protects the flower in budding stage. So you must have seen the bud is enclosed by the sepal, otherwise the calyx. So first one, sepal. The sepal is green in color. It protects the flower in the budding stage. The second one is petals. The petals are colored leaves that are arranged inside the sepals are called petals. These are generally arranged in circles and their collection is known as corolla. How we have studied sepal means calyx, the petals mean corolla. The petals are generally bright colored and have a fragrance. So what is the function of these petals? They attract birds and insects to the flower for pollination. Pollination you can study next year. What is meant by pollination? So the first one is sepal, the second one is petal, the third one is stamen. The stamen means it is the male reproductive organ of the flower. The flower may have more than one stamen. See, in this flower you can see six are there. It is generally covered by the petals. The two main parts of the stamen are anther and filament. Now the sac-like top structure of the stamen is called the anther, and the long stick-like structure on which the anthers rest is called the filament. So what is the function of this anther? They produce pollen grains because it is the male reproductive organ of the flower. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of the flower. Now the next one is the pistil. Pistil means pistil, otherwise carpel. Pistil also you can say Pistil, pistil. Okay, otherwise carpel. So the carpel is made up of three parts. One is stigma, then style, then ovary. So the sticky tip of the pistil on which pollen deposited at the beginning of the pollination gets. So the tip of the carpel is called the stigma, carpel, otherwise pistil. Now the long style, it is long slender stalk that connects the stigma and the ovary. Now the third part, the down, it is called the ovary. This is the thickened lower part of the flower which holds its major organs. The small bead-like particles which are known as ovules. See, if you have lowermost part of the structure, that is ovary, if you cut it longitudinally, otherwise transversely, whatever you can cut, if you see the when you cut, you can see the ovules present in the ovary. So this ovule only becomes seeds, and ovary is changes into fruit after pollination. So these are the main parts of the flower, that is sepal, petal, stamen, and pistil, otherwise the carpel. So now you have studied the different parts of the plant and their functions. Now what is the difference between the calyx, otherwise the sepal, and petal? Sepals are green in color and the petals have many colors. The sepals, they protect the flower when it is in bud stage. The petals, they attract insects for pollination. So like that, they are very important parts of the plant. They are the reproductive part of the plant is called the flower. Then only from that the seeds and the the fruits are produced. You can read the textbook and then you can fill only the objectives. All other questions will be discussed later. Thank you.